Our next speaker is Daniel Tuffin, Managing Director of Panther Metals.
So I'm going to keep this fairly brief. I know we're approaching beer o'clock, so if there's anything I do skip over too fast, please come and see me at the booth or just send me an email. I'll catch up with you later. We're a relatively new company ourselves. We listed December 10, 2021. For my penances for us being prepared, we were drilling December 16, 2021. Some geologists in the room would love that. I certainly didn't. We are looking to unlock value via new battery and precious metals discoveries. We're predominantly in Western Australia, and given that this is a battery metals conference being nickel, we'll just focus on that moving forward. Really what's happened is, since we listed, that initial round of drilling at 6,000 metres net us the Coglia Nickel Cobalt project. We discovered a 70.6 million tonne nickel laterite and cobalt deposit southeast of Laverton. And does that work? Or is it this way? Whereabouts are we going? Green button? Green button's being hit. It might not be as fast as we thought here, guys. There you go. Beautiful, all right. So corporate structure, we are tightly held as well. We're a bit better than 6 cents, that's as of 31st of August. We did a raise recently, so we're working back from that. We don't have a lot of shares on issue. Again, I might just skip over this and the following page and keep the brevity there. I've got 13 minutes. Experienced team, there's never an inexperienced team, is there? In this case, our chairman is quite the clever dick. He has a doctorate in geology. He's a very successful gold miner out of Turkey. He did his doctorate on the Pine Creek Origin in the Northern Territory. That's how he ended up with some of those leases up there. We're also bookended by Renko, who's our executive director. He is very well versed as COSEC and CFO stuff, and I've already been pretty much introduced, so let's skip forward. Where we are in the world. Exciting part of the world, actually. We started this company during the depths of COVID. So our chairman, who has some family over here, in-laws, got stuck in Western Australia and couldn't get back to England where he was living at the time. That was fortuitous. He had some leases in the Northern Territory. I had been developing up some leases in Laverton, and we were looking at this being an orogenic gold play. Turns out that we found something much, much bigger. There's 5 gold mills in the area, but more important is Murrin there on the left. That's their nickel processing plant for Glencore, and down at the very bottom right is their Irwin Hills project, which they're developing up to send to that mill. We're in between. So we'll focus on the battery metal stuff. Since we listed, we discovered 70.6 million tonnes. It's a fully JORC compliant inferred resource from, as I said, about 6,000 metres of RC drilling. There was some historical programs there. There was one from Heron in 2005 and White Cliff in 2011. Still all pre-JORC, pre-digital. We just put it all together and found out that we had probably about a 30 to 50 million tonne JORC exploration target. We went and drilled it and exceeded that by another 20 million tonnes. We've also got 32 to 64 million tonnes as a JORC exploration target to the south at Coglia. Friends of mine in the UK say scale bars don't do justice to Australian projects. This is over 7.5 kilometres of strike. We've also done some HPAL testing at Coglia. I've learnt the hard way that it's best to get some MET testing done early on. We did some, look, it was initial bottle roll testing, but it came back at over 92% nickel recovery, which is fantastic, and that's without any Benny being applied. So this is near surface. It's cheap, it's free dig, and we only need to do basic screening to upgrade it. We also have the Red Flag Nickel Sulphide project, which is actually west of ground held by Poseidon. I don't think Craig held that lease map up long enough. It's pretty interesting out that way, and we'll go through that. And then we have the Marlin Nickel Sulphide project as well. So we've got laterites, we've got sulphides, Coglia being the most advanced. It's within trucking distance to Glencore's Murrin plant. We are new and we're small. They might not notice us. We're closer by road though, so we put up a sign. And that's just to let them know we're there and everyone in the area. We are closer, and I don't know how far advanced we are in comparison to Irwin Hills, but we wouldn't be far behind. This is what it looks like for all the geophys nerds in the room. I'm a mining engineer, as introduced, so I'm more interested about getting the stuff out of the ground at the end of the day, but we've applied a 0.5 cut to the nickel and cobalt on this resource, which is pretty, conservative for the cobalt, but that allows us to talk about nickel equivalents outside of the ASX, and we can say that there's a 0.85% nickel equivalent grade there for that 70.6 million tonnes. We found ourselves holding one of the top 10 largest JORC compliant resources in Western Australia, not owned by a major, and we were getting back some pretty chunky intercepts, pretty shallow, so 21 metres 1.34 and another one at 1.23. That's pretty constant across the whole of this resource. We get peaks inside the resource of 3.77%. That was our best meterage percent for intercept, I should say, for nickel, and 7,900 parts per million for the cobalt. If that was in Canada, another 1,000 or 2,000 parts per million, that'll be a bonanza grade hit for the cobalt. So for a laterite, I think it's doing pretty well. This is what we've done since. So we've recently finished this drilling. The blue dots are our extensional drilling. We're looking to obviously investigate the southern JORC exploration target. Fingers crossed, the best way to kill a JORC exploration target is to drill it. But we have further areas to the east and the central. And of course, as I touched on, we're getting great recoveries. So we're assays pending at this point in time, but that's one of many programs that we've done in the last couple of months. Obviously, we're just focusing on this. We expect to see some significant upside from this extensional drilling. The geophys model matches our gravity model pretty well. It does dive away a bit to the south, but we'll see where that all goes. So obviously what we're expecting to do now from this is grow and increase the resource and the confidence in the resource. We could probably convert that northern resource area into indicated, but I just want to get a couple more holes in there to be sure. Obviously, we're looking at exploring the new zones, and we're currently testing if heap leach is applicable. Then we get to the good stuff. We get to do scoping studies on mining it, so that's where I'm most excited, obviously. Just with regards to mining something like this, it's a laterite, it's shallow, it's free dig, it's near surface, it's cheap. It isn't a lake bed. We'll have to deal with the water, but we'll need water anyway. So red flag, this is the one that Craig should have kept up. This is, sorry mate. There's some great ground here just to the west of the old Poseidon nickel rush area from 6970. I will give Poseidon a bit of a plug here. They've got that Woodline well lease there. It's 0.34 million tonnes at 1.25% nickel. They do hold it. We've got the rest. It's a very exciting sort of area for us. The ultramafics in the area control the mineralisation, which are controlled in turn by the granites. These things are pretty shallow, nickeliferous oxides, and some of the intercepts they were getting out there at the time were pretty decent, 31 at 1.32, and pretty shallow. We sort of had a look at this because there was an NOI put in by Poseidon in 2011, and we'd picked up a lease nearby to the south there, that little 4-blocker with Mount Goose on it, and we decided to have a bit of a dig around in the area, and we liked what we saw. You can see where the resolution in the TMI there drops off. It's because it's sat under a water licence held by Glencore. No one really bothered to have a look. Another opportunistic pegging for us is the Marlin Nickel Sulphide Project. This is 10 kilometres to the northeast of Coglia. We believe that some of these mafic systems are running in lieu or in the lines with the lake system in the area, and that's sort of what's causing that that enrichment. So we've been looking at this area for a while, given that either side of it, in the middle is the Seahorse discovery from M2M, the recent discovery out there, and we sort of like what we saw. So when it got dropped, we pegged it. It was extremely cheap to pick up, and you can see why. 20 metres at 1% from 12 metres and 28 at 0.7 is sort of the stuff we're getting out there. And it seems to be pregnant all the way down to about 200 odd metres at this stage. That's our chairman, Kerem, being a geologist and posing for a very typical geology photo. Last but not least, 40 Mile Camp prospect. We actually did a bit of work on this prior to listing. It was unloved. It's 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow, 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort of shallow. And then 15 metres of sort of 15 metres of sort lease that lies under, or that has a lot of overburden on the top of it. As such, because it's all undercover and it had been land farmed, no one had really bothered to look at it. So we note the systems in the area. There's a Comet Well trend, all those ultramafics running up and down. We did the geophys, and then we did the geochem, about 1,800 holes, and we liked what we saw. I am not a geologist, but I'm told that could be a dilational jog or some sort of antisynclinal trap on its side. For laymen like me in the room, it's kind of like pounding for gold in a riverbed. You're looking for twists and turns to trap the gold. It's the same with ultramafic systems, or so I'm told. Where there's breaks, you can actually catch this stuff. And this is bleeding off a hill. That area is 5 by 2.5 kilometres by itself, and then to the east, there's 40 Mile East. That didn't light up as much on the geochem because it's deeper, but that looks just as good, if not better. We have just put 600 metres of slimline RC in there. Again, assays pending. It's a big area, 25 square kilometres, so as anyone in the room that is a geo would probably agree with, any smoke we get out of this from some air core out of 600 metres is going to be pretty encouraging. All right, I said I'd keep it brief. That's almost under 10 minutes. So look, if there's any questions, please come and see me. Otherwise, I'll see you for a beer a bit later, I'm sure, and we're all looking forward to it. Cheers.